Hello there, my friends. It's Jen Pitta with By the Shore Stamping. Welcome into another Teach Me Tuesday episode. This week I'm actually on Tuesday. Hopefully I'll be able to get this recorded and uploaded in time for it to still be Tuesday. But I do want to play with this paper again. This is the paper from the Share What You Love suite, which is coming out in the brand new catalog in June. It's also available right now in some special bundles that are only available during May. Everything will be available a la carte in the new catalog, but right now there's 3 different bundles that are available just for the month of May. Anyway, I focused all on that last week, so I'm not going to go through that again. If you want to check that out, you can go to last week's Teach Me Tuesday video, which was actually uploaded on Thursday because I was behind last week. But this week, I wanted to do a little scrapbooking for you because I haven't done it in a while, and May is National Scrapbooking Month, so I thought that was appropriate. And because Mother's Day was this past week, that was kind of on my brain. So I did a little layout, or I have a layout in mind that I'm going to do, featuring some pictures from our Mother's Day trip with my sister and sister-in-law and my niece. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to actually do this in the progressive style because I haven't done that in a while either. And I know a lot of people really like when I show this technique because it's a great way to focus on smaller canvas to build up to a bigger canvas, because sometimes it's really hard to take a big 12 by 12 sheet of paper and turn it into something pretty. So now that I do cards so often, I find it easier to start with a smaller canvas and work up. So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing I do when I'm going to do a progressive page is I obviously pick my photos and or my paper. And since I knew I was going to start with this, I wanted to pull papers or pull colors out of this set of papers. So I'm just going to pull this in here too. So this is what I was working with, were these papers. And so I decided that my base color is going to be the crumb cake because that's just a great neutral base color for a scrapbook page. I also decided that because I wanted to use this photo, so I obviously want to use this photo and with this paper, and I don't want it to like clash too much. So I decided I was going to use this paper with it because I thought it was kind of muted and pretty. And that way I will start with this new color, the Grapefruit Grove. So there is my base piece, my 6x6 piece, and then my middle piece is going to be the white 8.5 by 11. So I did pick this color scheme before I got started, and I knew I was going to use this pattern paper. But other than that, I really didn't know too much. So now I'm going to walk you through how I go about this process. So I always start with the photo that I want to be my focal photo. And I don't have a finished layout here to show you. I'm going to put it together as we talk because I only have one of each of these photos. So I can't do it in advance and then go ahead and put it together again for you on the page because I don't have enough photos to do that. And I think I just lost one of the pieces of my page, which is problematic. I'll have to cut it again maybe, because I don't know where it went. Okay. Anyway, so I started with I found it. I started with this photo, and I knew I wanted this as the 6x6. So just to kind of, it doesn't really go all that well. So, and don't mind my ugly table. It's too hard to have a grid sheet under here when I'm using 12 by 12 because it will get all moved around and whatnot. So we're going to look at my ugly table at the moment. So I started with this, and I knew obviously I wanted to kind of pull in some of this paper because it's so pretty. So I cut this down. So this base piece is 6x6. So this is what I'm going to do. I start with a 6x6 piece of paper in this progressive style scrapbooking, and we're going to build up. So this 6x6 canvas makes it really easy to put this together because the picture pretty much takes up most of the canvas, and I don't really have to think too much, right? But I did want to kind of mute this color. It's a little bit bright and a little bit off-putting with this orange color. So I kind of wanted to mute it a little bit. So this is what I did. I cut this beautiful pearlized paper down to 5.5 by 5.5 on the 6x6 base. And that is going to be the base of this. Oh no, we're okay. I just thought, I'm like, oh no, I just messed something up, but I didn't. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tape this down. And there we have the first part of the layout. Look how simple this is coming together, right? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to tape this photo down because I know I want this front and center. I don't really want to cut it down because I really want it to be the focus. So I'm going to go ahead and tape that down right in the middle, like that. Okay. And I had put a piece of black under here, but decided not to keep it for various reasons. But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that I didn't opt to keep it. I did make this cute little title for the page. And I usually try to put the title on this 6x6 portion because it is going to be the focal part of the finished page when we're done, which is why I always recommend that you start with the image that you want to be the focal image as well, because this one is going to end up having the most focus just because everything is built around it. So to do this cute little title, I wanted it to say tradition because this is all about the tradition we started for Mother's Day. So I'm using the new Make a Difference stamp set, which is part of the largest and the second largest bundle in the Share What You Love early release. So I used these to actually spell out tradition with the stamp set. So this is a great one for scrapbookers. So I'm going to go ahead and tape that down. I just, you can see my boo-boo on the back. I tried doing it all in one shot on a block and it just didn't work. I couldn't get them close enough, so I did them one by one, which was fine. It was really easy because they're all photopolymer, so you can see right through them. So there is that part. And then I do want to kind of just fuss this up a little bit. So I'm going to take the Share What You Love embellishment kit, which is also part of the second and third bundle. And I'm just going to take this white twine. It's super fine. So I'm going to actually use it on this. And the reason why I started to freak out was because I was taping this down and thought that I wanted to put the ribbon around this pattern paper, but it doesn't matter because remember, we're building up from 6x6. So this is going to end up getting taped down to another piece of paper. So I'm going to wrap this a couple of times. I want it to kind of land right under the tradition. So that's why I cut this so that it kind of lands over here. And then I'm going to just cut this down. I want it to be a little bow, I think, which is going to be tricky with this really super fine twine, but I think it will just add a little bit of texture to the page. So I'm going to do it. As I said before, I usually like to tie a knot in my twine first, so that way you make sure you get it nice and secure before you try and tie a bow. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I want to space those out a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to tie our little bow. So, one little bunny ear, and then pull that through. And then we'll just need to kind of fluffen it up a little bit. And this baker's twine stuff, especially this really fine stuff, can be a little bit of a nuisance because it likes to twist and whatnot. So, once I get it the way I want it, I may actually glue dot it down, but actually it seems to be behaving okay. I'm going to just make it a little bit smaller. There we go. And then I'll just trim these a little bit. And voila, we have layer number 1. So now that I've just done this little piece, it was so easy to put together because it's such a small canvas, right? So now I knew I wanted to use white as my next layer. So the question was, where on the white do you put it? So you can put it any way you want. And I knew I wanted to focus or put a couple of other pictures on from Sturbridge Village, which is where we always went. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick it up here in the corner. So that was the first thing that I decided. And actually, I wasn't sure. When I first started, I kind of put it in the middle here. And we'll leave it there for a second, and I'll show you why I decided to move it. And then I wanted to pull in this guava color again, so I grabbed some more of the paper, and I put that along the side here. And then I grabbed the pictures, and you can tell I kind of thought this out a little bit in advance, but this is pretty much how I work when I'm doing these. I kind of lay pieces down, and then I move them around as needed. So I liked these little photos, so I trimmed them down so they would fit in this space. But when I had them like this, it looks a little bit lost. So I grabbed some basic black cardstock and just layered these on here. So there's one and there's two. So you really just want to work with the pictures that you're working with. So if you know you want to add some stuff in here, you just kind of build it in to the page. So if you didn't have anything, you wanted to just keep it on this photo, you could put this 6x6 right smack in the middle of the 8.5 by 11, or put some more pattern paper over the whole back, or turn it on the other side or whatever. So you just want to kind of work with what you have. So now this little part right here kind of bugged me, the little seam showing in between. So to anchor it a little bit, I decided I was going to add just a little strip of the black. And you'll see this kind of anchors it a little bit when we put it down. So you're going to do that. And now I was like, well, I didn't want to not have some journaling. So that was why I moved this up like that. And then again, just to kind of anchor it a little bit, I added just a thin strip of the black. And then my plan was to do the journaling on the bottom. So let's go ahead, and I already did that. Look at me. So I'm going to swap this out so you can actually see what it looks like when we do that. So let's go ahead and kind of reassemble this and tape it down so we can do the next step of this process. All right, so this is just going to go on the side here, right flush against the edge. So again, this is just an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So you start with 6x6, then you build to 8.5 by 11, and then we're going to build to 12 by 12. So then this can go right here. Put that right up against the edge. And then I'm going to tape this down in that upper corner. Sorry, I'm kind of taping off the page here, but I'm pretty sure you know how to do that part. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tape that down in the corner. And I was debating about whether or not I wanted this flush or if I wanted over a little bit, if I wanted to do a little tag, kind of a banner end rather in that. So that's why it's kind of just not completely cut down at the moment. We're going to make a decision about that in a second. As soon as I get this stuff down. Okay. And then this will go in this corner. And I do like to make sure that before I move from one layer to the next that it's completely finished. So like, you know, I added the ribbon and stuff to the 6x6 canvas rather than waiting until the end and deciding, oh, I need something else. I do try to kind of build it out entirely when I'm working on that level, and then I'll move up to the next. So and I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. Okay, so there is this. And so those are just some pictures from Sturbridge Village to kind of show. And I did the little journaling about that as well. I think I am going to cut, actually, you know what? I don't think I'm going to, because I have another idea for to fill this little hole. So I'm going to leave this just the way it is, and I'm going to make it flush against that this edge of the 6x6. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of a difference in there. I'm going to make that flush up against, and then I'm going to go right to the edge of the page, and I'll flip this over and trim that off. So I'm going to just snip that off. And actually this is a little over too, so I'll go ahead and cut that off while I'm here. So there's that. But like I said, there seems to be like a little bit of a hole here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Love What You Do stamp set, which is the other stamp set that comes in the bundle with the Share What You Love bundle. And I'm going to use this one that says It's a Beautiful Day. And because they're kind of coordinating stamp sets from the same suite, the fonts will match nicely. So I'm going to take It's a Beautiful Day and my scrap piece of white paper. And I'm going to stamp that on this paper. So we ink that up. I'm just going to stick it down in the corner here because I'm going to punch it out like that. All right, and I'm going to use, hopefully the 2-inch punch will work. That's the biggest punch I have for a circle, and I don't feel like pulling out the Big Shot. Yep, I think that will work fine. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Because the other thing I was thinking is I might take some of these cute little pearlized, and this part is just completely winging it. I did not plan this in advance. I'm just kind of working with the stuff that comes in the suite, but I'm thinking maybe something like this to fill that hole. But I think it needs some more color. So one of the colors in here that I'm going to try and pull out probably is this green color, which in the paper, the pattern paper, we have Tranquil Tide, which is that green color. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a scrap piece of that. And I told you, I'm thinking on the fly here. So I'm grabbing stuff from my stash. And my Starburst punch. This is a really handy punch, and it layers really nicely with this 2-inch circle punch. So I'm going to cut that out. See how it just gives kind of a little jagged edge? So I'm going to go ahead and layer that, I think, on top of here. And then that on top of here. Like that. And that will just kind of fill in that little bit of a hole. And now I just want to make sure that that's where I want it. Do I want it? Yeah, I think I do want it down here. And I may move it just a little bit lower to kind of offset it from that a little bit, because remember, we're going to put it on another bigger canvas in a second. I do think, however, because you know me, can't have any projects without some crumb cake on it. So I do think I'm going to take my crumb cake ink and my crumb cake sponge, and I'm going to ink the edges of this Whisper White, just to kind of edge it out a little bit. It is kind of a vintagey style paper, so I think that vintage look will look nice. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'll tape this to, oh, and I hope I didn't just get ink on the front of that. Nope, I didn't. Okay, good. I'm going to remove this for a second so I can see. Get that in the middle. And I'm thinking maybe a little dimension on this would be good. Oh, it looks like there's a few of these little pieces that were still stuck in there. So let's go ahead and pull that off. And this kind of pulls in that pearlized stuff here too. So I like that. I'm just looking at it now to see if I need to add anything else. Let's go ahead and put some dimension on that, because I want to pop this up. So we've got 3 little dimensionals in the back. Oh, I wasn't going to pull this off because I wanted to kind of see if there was anything else I needed to put under here. I don't think I'm going to do anything under it, so I'm going to go ahead and tape that down here. And I think I can go ahead and just put a little bit of adhesive here and stick this down on top of that. And I am, like I said, going over the edge of the 8.5 by 11 paper a little bit, because I'm going to build more on the next size. I do think I want something in this little corner. So maybe one of these little self-adhesive roses from the embellishment kit. I'm using those a ton. And I'm thinking, again, I may use the, just to pull in that guava color again. I keep calling it guava. It's not guava, it's grapefruit. I'm going to do a little 1-inch circle of this. I did this on the cards last week too. If you watched last week's video, I just added a little circle of the Grapefruit Grove to kind of pull in that color. I just think that adds a little bit of pop of color. So I wish I had a little bit smaller circle, which I do not. I have one, but it's way smaller, I think. So I don't think that will work. Let's just check that first. but I think it's gonna get covered up by the rose. Well, maybe it will be okay, actually. Actually, it does just kind of show just enough of that. So maybe I'll leave it like that, actually. Okay, so let's go ahead and use the smaller one. I'm gonna go ahead and tape that down and put that in this little hole here. And then, like I said, these are self-adhesive, so I'm just gonna peel off the backing and put that down in the center. So there's layer 2. So now we're on to the final layer of the page. And I'm going to do this. And I don't really think I need to put any other pictures on there. I do have some others here, but I think that's all I want for this one, because the other pictures I have don't really work with this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I do want to fill in a little bit of this brown. It kind of mellows it out a little bit. And so I'm going to pull in that Tranquil Tide color again. And I'm going to use this, this cute little leaf pattern, because I think it kind of brings in that garden look really nicely. So that one is 8.5, I'm sorry, 11 by 11 is this base piece. So now you can see there's a little bit more texture to the page, a little more going on, but it is a little bit busier, I think. So I think I'm going to pull in a little more black, maybe. Let's see. Like this. Just to kind of anchor it. And then I do think I've got 1, 2 guava. So, I keep doing that. It's not guava, it's grapefruit. Goodness gracious. I do think I want to pull a little more of that in. So I might actually slip this over just a little bit. And then do a piece of this that's 8.5. To go along with this white edge. I'm going to stick it on that other side just to pull in a little triangle of guava. So maybe like we'll cut like 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch here out of this piece, and then cut it down to 8.5. And I'll show you what I'm envisioning with that. So I like to work in 3s. It's kind of a basic design principle. So you've got guava, guava, and then I'm going to stick another little touch of grapefruit. Geesh, I did it again. On this side. Just a little tiny bit peeking out. And that's going to bring in that guava in a triangle there and kind of finish this off. So I think that will kind of finish. I'll kind of look at it. See, normally I would lay this all out and then sort of sneak up on it later to see if I still liked it. But since we're going live and we're going bold, I'm going to go ahead and commit and tape this down. And I'm going to go ahead and just get this so that it's straight. And I'll do a little bit peeking out on this. Whoops. Like that. That looks pretty straight. Now I can go ahead and I'm going to tape this down first. So let's go ahead and tape this. Alright, and then that's just going to go right in the middle. Again, this was just 11 by 11 on a 12 by 12 base, so I'm going to kind of center it. And then we can go ahead and lay this down across the middle. And this is, what size is this? 8 3/4 by 12 of the basic black. I don't even know because I haven't looked recently, but this basic black cardstock from Stampin' Up! In 12 by 12 size is retiring, which I'm so sad about. So if you need to stock up on that, you may want to go check the online store now, because once that sells out, it's gone for good, and I'm honestly not sure if it's already sold out. I wouldn't be surprised if it is, because we have the best cardstock ever, and that's just kind of a great staple. So now I can just go ahead and put this right in the middle. So I don't know if you can see how much easier this is to work with because you're starting on smaller canvas and building up. It really kind of limits your choices, and I don't know about you, but the more choices I have, the harder things are for me. So that's why I like this method, because it makes decision making a little less taxing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I think we're just about done, but I do want to add a little bit of bling. So these are the Share What You Love Artisan Pearls, which also come in the bundle. I think they come in 2 of the bundles. Oops, I just lost a little doodad here. I think I'm going to use, I don't know, do I want to use the Tranquil Tide color, I think, maybe? I think I'm going to put them over here. So yeah, I think I'm going to use this color. And I'm just going to put, again, working in 3s, I'm going to put a little trio of them here. Like that. Do I need more? It's very easy to get carried away, but I might actually add a couple more. Let's see. Let's see what it looks like. Do another green one there. And maybe, oops. Maybe there. Not sure that's the right place for that at the moment. I could sit here all day and waffle back and forth. I think I'm going to just do, nope. All right, I'm going to put it back where it was. And I'll sneak up on it later and see if that's where I want to keep it. All right. I don't think that's where I want to keep it, but there it is. There's the finished page. So we went from the 6x6 to the 8.5 by 11 to the 12 by 12. So it's what I call progressive scrapbooking. I've been doing it for quite some time. So if you go to By the Shore Stamping and search progressive scrapbooking, you'll see a couple of different posts with this method. And I also have, I think, another YouTube video on this too. So if you want to see some other options and some finished results in other orientations and whatnot, you can go ahead and do that. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back again next week for another Teach Me Tuesday episode. And if you would like to receive the live class kits for this month, be sure to order before tomorrow, May 16th, because I'll be shipping those out shortly. And just use the monthly host code that was in my newsletter today, or that's in the video description below. And if you're local and you want to do some scrapbooking with me, be sure to keep May 26th, that's a week from this coming Saturday, free. We will be doing a little scrapathon, so we'll have 5 12 by 12 double page spreads that you'll make. We'll have lunch, we'll have some prizes, we'll have some pillow gifts, so it's a really fun day. So check the email for the details on that, and hopefully you can join us there. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.